What a beautiful morning, brave hearts. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at in the world. I'm Dr. Sage Wolf, and I just want to say, are you getting moving? Are you making sure you're making that spinal fluid move, getting in alignment, getting that proper communication to pump up and down? Because our spinal fluid contains so much information, a lot of toxicity as well. So we want to make sure that we are constantly, not constantly, but at least like on a daily, maybe once, twice, 3 times a week, taking time for ourselves. And the spine is so important to move. It is our pillar. It is what keeps us strong and withheld. So I'm just going to be hopping on here just for a moment today just to show you some tips to kind of keep that spine moving and flowing properly. So when I do, like normally in my mornings, and it should only take you about 5 to 10 minutes, like you should have 5 to 10 minutes in your morning to do some form of therapeutic techniques for yourself, because it is so important to just ground myself, feel a little bit well adapted for the day that is going to kind of go through, because there's a lot of stresses out there in the world. We all have jobs, families, friends that we have to not deal with. It's life. It's an enjoyment. That is why we feel all these emotions. You're not like people who say like, oh, you should be emotionless. Yeah, right. You should be in tune with your emotions. I should feel that happiness, should feel that anger, but learn to control it and divert it into a positive direction of some sort for your body. So I always just try to start off with some form of like spinal twisting, because as you're kind of wringing that spine from side to side, it'll just kind of start to open up the vertebrae a little bit, release those transverse process from being so tight and bound to the muscle tissue and those ligaments besides. So you want to kind of keep those hips like shoulder width apart and you're self-grounded. I don't want to be moving my hips too much because this isn't going to be for the hips. I want to focus on the spine. So when I'm trying to do movements like these, I really want you to be like putting your mind into that body part, getting connected to your breath and feeling those vertebrae start to ring, start to open up. Same thing if I was targeting a hip or a knee. I have to have that focus there, because if I'm just like willy-nilly moving along, you're not going to feel like you're actually activating that area. You might be activating something else a little bit. So as I'm staying within my breath, I just want to start. You can have your hands on your hips, you can have your hands by your side, wherever you feel most comfortable. I can even just have them on my heart as I'm staying within my breath. And I just want to try to wring that spine out a little. So I'm just going from side to side to move that spine. And you can do that for 20 to 30 seconds. That's going to be fantastic just to kind of get some proper movement within it first. Then we're going to hop down towards the ground, and I'll just back up a little bit for you guys. So I call it like belly button to earth and then like spine to sky. And so you can call them in and outs, whatever you feel really comfortable with. So you want your hands on the ground. So I'm kind of just like in this like my legs, knees flat, hands flat. And so I'm going to focus on kind of keeping my back flush at the beginning. And then I want to focus on really getting my belly button inverted and getting my core heading towards that ground. And then I want to try to shoot my belly button through my spine, heading up. And so you're going to kind of do in and outs, and it'll look a little funny at the beginning, but this is for your spinal fluid to kind of start moving properly, opening up those adhesions. And so as I'm doing this, I'm just straight, nice and flat. And I want to arch my back as much as possible. You're going to feel a little bit of a pull within that lower lumbar section. And that's going to be where people have most of the time that spinal stenosis, a little bit of narrowing of the discs. You can have spina bifida. You can do this with scoliosis, any kind of spinal issues, bulging discs, slip discs. Just go to what is comfortable with you. You're not going to push it to where you feel pain, but I always want a slight amount of discomfort, because that's when you're going to get the most results. We are pushing our body to open up a little bit more. So hands flat on the ground, knees down, and I'm focusing on arching that back as much as possible within here, getting that belly button to the ground itself. And I'm just going to stay within my breath. I'm talking to you guys right now and trying to show. And then after I do that, we do it in and out. So I'm going to arch the back now, and I'm trying to shoot my belly button through to the sky. And I really kind of want to get a nice arch in that lower lumbar section. And you want to bounce back and forth from these at least 5 times each. So I'm feeling a pull, and I actually am already feeling a pull down into that lower SI joint area. So it will help open all that up. Then I'm gonna get that arch going again, and then I'm gonna get that belly button down again. And just try to hold 3 to 5 seconds in each one, and then move on to the next. So that's great. You can kind of sit back a little bit. These are lovely. Crossing one leg, placing the elbow on, and slightly turning. And when you're doing that stretch, you don't need to hold it for 5 minutes, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, maximum, wonderful. And get into that breath. The farther back I reach this arm and try to look behind my shoulder, the more of a stretch you will get. So that's gonna be one direction, place down. Next, that's gonna be the other direction. So that is really, really good. And so people don't realize, yes, I hop on here all the time. I show how to do like gua sha stone on the upper back and neck. That occipital area, that's C1, C2, that's gonna be where the spine enters the brainstem insertion. So we wanna get a lot of fluid coming up into that. But that isn't a pump so much. The only pump we have in our spine is our sacrum. And so I'm gonna back up a little bit more so you guys can kind of see my whole body. I'm gonna sit back on my knees for this one. And when I'm doing this, I want to focus on that sacrum, that flat flush bone right in your low back. It should be flat. And that coccyx area. That is going to be the only area by the pelvis that is like a pump that will send that fluid up. So I'm going to sit back on my knees. If you can't do it on your knees, you can do it on your butt. You just might not get as much of a stretch out of it, but just give it a shot. Do what you can. It's not about being perfect. Strive for perfection. No, it's not achievable. We are all working to better ourselves on a daily basis. I'm really good right now, but I'm going to be way better tomorrow. I'm going to be way better in a year from now because I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly growing. And if not, stagnation turns to putrefaction, which is going to end up eating me alive. And I can't let that happen to my mind, my body, or my spirit. So I'm going to do it on my knees because I can. So I want to start on my knees, and I want to focus, remember, on that sacrum itself because that is going to be the pump to get the fluid heading up the most. So we call it just like opening up the spine. I don't really have a name for it, but I want to take my arms and I focus on either side of our spine. We have our erector spinae muscles. I'm going to bring my arms back as I breathe. I'm going to talk to you first about it and then I'll show it. So I'm going to bring my arms back to about here and I'm going to take a deep breath in and I'm focusing on contracting those muscles as hard as I can to where it's comfortable for me around that spine to kind of hold some tension there. And then as I exhale, I'm going to come forward. I'm telling you guys how to do it right now so then you can see how to do it because it's really hard for me to get into these positions and continue talking. So, and then I'm going to bring myself forward, put my hands on my head as I'm exhaling to pull that spine apart. But as I'm kind of contracting, I'm focusing on my sacrum, kind of pumping action, moving forward a little bit. So I'm going to bring those arms back. Beautiful sun just came out for me. Thank you. And so I'm going to squeeze and I'm holding that spine and I'm squeezing it. And I'm going to do for about 3 to 5 seconds as I inhale. And then as I exhale, I'm not going to talk to you guys in this one, but as I exhale, I'm coming down forward and I'm not just leaning forward. Some people just like fall forward and they're like, I feel nothing. Put your hands on your head and pull a little bit. You will feel a burning more in the upper back. We don't want pain. I want slight discomfort. So as I breathe in, hold, squeeze. And then as I exhale, I'm coming forward, I'm arching my back, and I'm pulling on the head. See, I continue to try to talk anyways. So I'm pulling on that head, and I'm feeling a burning down the erector spinae muscles. And with this one, I want to do at least 5 times in each section. So inhale, squeeze, and then exhale. Once more, just so you guys have a full understanding. Inhale, and I'm squeezing those muscles. And exhale. After I feel like I've done that, I usually just want to finish off with a nice pelvic squat to really get my tailbone heading towards that earth and like try to like get that nice and straight, ground myself and feel that energy charge up. Because like right now I'm standing in the grass, it's nice. I'm just charging up with negative ions. I'm releasing some of my positive ions and I'm just recharging my body. So then with the pelvic squat, kind of shoulder width apart, go to what you can handle. If you need some form of stability, you're gonna get like a chair or a stool or something in front of you to kind of hold on. But as we progress and as we get really good at it, I've had clients who have like hardly been able to like sit down on chairs and it's harder to get up for them. And like 2-3 months later, they're like, Sage, yeah, it is harder to get up, but I can get my butt all the way down to the ground now. I can actually get my butt to the ground. And so they're opening up that pelvis, opening up this root chakra area and really helping get themselves grounded. So as I come down, I'm getting into that squat. I want to get as low as possible. My butt is trying to touch that ground. And then if you want to make it a little bit more advanced, put those elbows in those knees and push them out to the side to really widen those hip flexors. And I'm just going to stay in my breath here for about 20 to 30 seconds. The longer in this position, the better. You go to Asia, you see, and yes, sure, but like you even see the people who are like really elderly smoking cigarettes on the side of the road while you're there, and they're all smoking like this because they're trying to like balance themselves out, open up those hips, keep these things moving. Even if they're putting toxicity into their body, they're being mindful of their joints because we have all these joints, but we don't have proper movement. The synovial fluid starts getting a little bit dehydrated. The joint starts to kind of calcify, crystallize a little bit. So yes, that's why we teach the Wolf non-surgical, but there is stuff for our joint mobility that we can do to keep us in the best position. So then I'm just gonna stay in my breath, enjoy the environment, listen to the birds, and have a beautiful day. So try that out, guys. Give it a shot. You don't need to do all of them, but you will see that like it is going to be pretty beneficial for yourself. I hope you all just have the most blessed day, evening, night, wherever you're at, and I will catch you in the next one.